So I woke up this morning to the dogs whining, which is like my every morning. Solo wanted to go out. And I really just wanted a little bit more sleep. So I had the dogs climb up into bed with me, and Andy asked if they'd been outside yet. And I was like, no, I don't want to go out. I just want to sleep. So he took the dogs outside, and I was out of bed a couple minutes later. The words, "Babe, I think a tree fell on the house," came out of his mouth. And I jumped out of bed. Never have I jumped so fast. So this branch here is now in the backyard. And I don't think it actually hit the roof, so that's a really good thing. I think we just hit the side of the house, and I can handle that.
So that this goes.
Yeah.
But I'm going to need you here, pushing it up that way to kind of help it.
Okay. So I'm looking at this thinking, okay, maybe he has a good plan. But how far into the house is it? And am I going to actually be able to execute this plan?
You guys ain't going to be over here. Safety glasses?
So the first thing that we did is cover the top of the swamp cooler so we didn't get a whole bunch of crap inside of it. And then we went to town trying to execute Andy's plan. It was going really well. I was realizing there was no way that I was going to be able to push this thing over like he thinks I'm going to. I can barely reach it, and I am definitely not strong enough. So I just want you guys to keep in mind, this is the first time that Andy or I have ever done anything like this before. He's done some small trees, but nothing this big. And so he's going to town, and then he just stops. And the chainsaw didn't come with him. So Andy takes a quick look around. He sees it's board, he grabs it, and he says he's going to wedge it open. Just kind of create a little extra space for the chainsaw to come out. It definitely seemed like it was going to work. We did this for a couple of minutes before realizing it was not working. So then he goes to get the sledgehammer from the garage, and I'm shooing Solo away because he's just getting underfoot. He starts pounding it in further to try to wedge it in further, and it really was loosening up. I felt like there was a chance that we were going to make this happen, but we soon realized it was not working. So I suggested taking the Sawzall and trying to carve out the chainsaw from the tree. This was probably one of the better attempts that we had. but it still didn't work. So he tries pounding on it with a sledgehammer again, and then decides he's going to go to the garage and get a screwdriver to try to chisel it out. We had some really, really good ideas. They just weren't working with this tree. Finally, he decided that the jack might be the best option. He needs something to lift it up. So I went and got the jack from the garage and we jacked it up. It totally worked, and the jack became our best friend during this project. As I was editing this video, I realized that he really likes that sledgehammer. He decided to hit the tree until the limb finally came off because it was mostly cut through, and that was kind of a scary moment. I think using the ladder was the best idea that he had all day long. It held the tree up and kept it from falling into the swamp cooler, and it was really just an amazing idea. So Andy decided to call a friend of his that knows a little bit more than we do. First of all, about live oaks, and second of all, about cutting down trees. He got some advice from him to cut wedges into it. And we ended up deciding that we needed another chainsaw. So we took a break, went to Home Depot, bought another chainsaw, which got me chainsawing away for the first time ever in my life. So while he was in the garage setting up the new chainsaw, I was out here taking down limbs like I've been doing it for years. Or at least that's how I felt. During the 2.5 hours that we were gone to go get a chainsaw, I think the tree had time to kind of dry a little bit. Obviously, it didn't dry much, but it definitely felt like it wasn't full of all of that fresh rain like it was first thing in the morning. Once we had both chainsaws going, the whole project took off, and we really had this tree cut up and done in about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. Now that we had the majority of the smaller branches taken down and out of the way, it was time to come up with a game plan for how to get this thing off of the ladder and not break our swamp cooler. So we decided to jack up the tree one more time just to support the limb. That way it didn't fall over on us or harm the swamp cooler. So with all of the lessons that we learned throughout the day, he's now making a series of wedge cuts from different angles on this tree to make it easier and not get the new chainsaw stuck in the tree. It kind of worked. Andy cut down the large limb and the whole thing toppled over. This was actually the funniest part of the day, when he actually thought that he was going to be able to just lift it off. So he starts cutting off the limbs that are hanging out to get rid of that extra weight. And then he thinks once again that we are going to be able to He-Man this thing off. Sometimes I think he forgets that I am not the Hulk and I am not that strong. This thing was hundreds of pounds. It was huge. So I suggested that we take the limb that is on the ground and cut away the part that is past the bend, so it doesn't fall over when we cut it away, but it takes away the extra weight. And that's what he's doing right here. As he's cutting, he notices that it's starting to move, so I stood on it and we ended up putting a small brick underneath of it to support where the bend was not actually touching the ground. We cleared away the rest of the branches that were in the way, and it made it much easier to finish this project. This is where the brick started to come in handy, because that limb needed some support or the entire thing was going to fall and we were going to not have air conditioning or heat in our house. If you guys enjoyed watching this video and learning a little bit more about life on our homestead, subscribe and hit the bell below to get notifications when new videos go live.